Hey, what's up, you guys? My name is Summersnowolf, and welcome back to another episode of LEGO Arts. In our last episode, we did a showcase on Kingdom Hearts 2 with Sora, Donald, and Goofy. Now, this episode, we are doing a project that I have been super excited to do this year, and that is LEGO solo leveling. Solo leveling has become like one of my favorite animes that I've seen since last year. I love everything. I love everything about it, with the animation, the music. It's so well done and so awesome that I thought it'd be an awesome project to tackle on for a LEGO showcase. So here we have 4 characters with Genu, Hei-en-cha, Jinho, and Igris. These figures were a lot of fun to do, and I initially had started this months ago, but a couple of stuff had to come in late with some parts with a few specific characters, some things I had to go back and redo, which I'll explain that as we go in. So for this variation, we're doing just these 4 characters, and we're doing them in solo leveling Arise, which is the mobile game, and soon to become the console game with solo leveling Arise Overdrive. I haven't played either of them. I tried doing Overdrive, but for some reason the game wouldn't work. But I love the designs of each of the characters, especially for Igris. So I thought it'd be cool. To tackle on for those specific designs for LEGO format, and I think it turned out pretty well. So, as you guys know the drill, we're going to take these minifigures one at a time, do a review of them, explain the process, why we have this route, and then go from there. So without further ado, let's get the pencil out and get the showcase on the road. Okay, so to kick off our showcase is, of course, none other than the Shadow Monarch Genu Sung. So the overall design of this character is pretty simplistic compared to the other characters, and it kind of fits up with Genu's design overall. It's not too overly complicated in the anime and the books. It's mostly just pretty simplistic, which definitely made it pretty easy to get the base design. But since I did the Rise variation, I did add some sculpting stuff here and there, which I'll explain as we go on. So going from top to bottom, first up we're looking at with the head. I used a Captain America head that I think it was for the first Captain America minifigure that was made. It was made when they first made him unmasked. That I thought the expressions worked pretty good, especially on the front here. You can see he's got his iconic sort of casual smirk that Genu has. But if we turn on the back, we can see that he's got his more aggressive look. But also, I painted in the eyes to match up with his Monarch powers. Power stat. I painted in purple since I jumped back and forth between blue and purple, but I felt that purple's a bit more iconic for Genu, so I went with that. The hairpiece is actually a modified hairpiece that I had gotten on a while back. The original base was the same style that they used for Soldier 76, but I added in some sculpting of my own with matching up with the top and bottom. Just these loose strands here and there, just to kind of match up a bit more with Genu's look in the show, and I think it turned out pretty good. I really liked how it turned out. The overall, with the rest of the coats, I used the same piece that I had used when I made Spider-Punk with the base coat as a template, and then just sculpted on with the lapels and the hood on the back. And while we're on the back, you can see a little additional details here and there. Like with most of these customs that I do, there's supposed to be a lot more detail, but since it's very small, and on LEGO figs, there's only so much room you can put on. I really had to limit of how much I can translate from the photo reference to add on for something on LEGO. But I did the best I could, and it's not horrible. It could have turned out a little bit better, but at the end of the day, it does still give off the overall representation of it, which turned out good. And a problem that I did with Spider-Punk was the arms came off too loose. With this one, what I did was I sanded down the coat almost to the point where I nearly destroyed it, but thankfully, it was just enough to where the arms can still move on with the coat, and they don't, and are not threatening to be torn off instantly. There's, some thread here and there, but they're much more stable, and they're still able to move, which is a really good bonus. And speaking on with the arms, we can see over here, we have the sculpting of, the shoulder armor he has in the game. Again, it could have turned out a little bit better, but since it's small, there's only so much I could do. But I pretty much just took multiple strands of clay and just layered it on top of each other here and there, which turned out good. Did a little bit of detailing on his wrists, on the end parts of the sleeves. Same thing on the other side. The right turned out better than the left, which was weird. But with the overall stuff, we got here his belt buckle and an additional belt over here that I made it with paper and electric tape that honestly I probably couldn't have done that, but just for the overall look for it, I went ahead with it. I think which still turned out good. And on with the daggers, he's wielding his first pair of daggers that he wields in the books. with the Venom Fang and Night Killer. These actually weren't the daggers I was expecting. Like, I purchased these from Limitless-Minifigures, and I was expecting to get, like, I think like, it's like his dragon daggers that he gets later on in the books. But when it arrived, only one of the dragon daggers came in. The other two were Venom Fang and Night Killer. And I thought about, like, maybe trying to buy the daggers again, but these took a while to, like, ship in, which I'll explain a bit more when I get to Egress. And I felt that at the end, like, you know what, it's fine. Like, these daggers are pretty iconic themselves, so I went ahead and decided to use them for this figure. The paintwork came out pretty good. I also added in, like, a clear coat sealant to make sure the paint would stay on. And Night Killer was a little bit loose on with the minifigure, but I added in some, like, Procreate clay to just lightly on the handle, just a small amount, and then give it some sanding, and now, like, the sword handle stays in place, and it overall turned out much better than expected. The overall looking at this figure, it was a lot of fun to build. I kind of wish that I had, like, the different daggers, but it's still fine. Like, this figure still turned out pretty good. Very good. I'm really proud with how the hairpiece turned out, and finally figured out that a way to, like, make the coat that it wouldn't get destroyed. I probably would have done just, like, paper and electric tape at the end if I couldn't have figured it out. But I really like how it turned out in the end. Like, this figure still turned out great, and I'm really happy with it. Next up on our list here, we have the dancer Heian Shaw. So definitely on approaching this figure, I'd say it was a tad bit more difficult than to do with Genu's, and mostly detailing and sculpting wise. So from starting off at the top, her hairpiece is a modified official Lego bob cut hairpiece that I felt worked out pretty well with Heian, but there was this, like, gap like on the side that I think is supposed to represent like hair going behind the ear. So I took some clay and sculpted that in, and I tried to blend it in with the overall shape as best I could. It's not quite as perfect as I want it to be, but once it was painted up, it blends in enough to where it's like, okay, yeah, this could kind of work. The face piece that I used a Miss Marvel minifigure because it's a dual-headed piece, and the head side that was more neutral, it honestly is the only female, like, minifigure face piece that I could find with a more neutral expression, because I wanted to match up more with Heian's design, and I felt that, like, this face piece worked out pretty well. So I used that one. I painted in the eyebrows to match up with her hair. I also painted the eyes to be purple, because I thought that would turn out pretty well. And I typically do that when I do anime-based figures, which I think came out pretty well. The rest of the figure, I used, like, a base template decal that I usually use, just painted in red and adding in the detailing. It was definitely tedious to get everything down, but what I did was I used a pencil to first outline with, like, some of the lines here and there, and then just carefully went in and filled them in, which it turned out much better than I expected. And we got some more detailing on the back, which same method, just did a pencil first, and then, like, carefully went in with the red to like not overlap with them, and it turned out really great. So I'm happy with that. With the arms, this one has a lot more sculpting work that I did, which same thing with Genu, that I just did layer over layer, like started at the bottom and then, like, just filled in the gaps here and there. I added a little bit of 3-dimensional on the arms just for good measure. I didn't add in everything, like made the entire thing just like sculpting clay, because if I did, it would have interfered with more of the articulation on both sides. Because she still has some articulation, but if I added in more on with the, like, elbows, it really would have messed it up. So I just went in with the paint work, and it turned out really good. And going on the front, we could see with, like, the wing and also the little star. I did almost, like, have the star painted onto the chest, but when I went back and saw, like, oh wait, it's actually part of the wing piece. I luckily wasn't too far into it, so I went back and was able to fix it. So I'm happy with that. Going down with the legs. On the legs, we could see, like, she's got this belt to hold her sword in. I didn't include it in the scabbard because it honestly would have been pretty skinny and not really worked out pretty well for it. So I discarded it. And it's, with the overall belt, though, it's done with paper and electric tape. Went back and did the paintwork on it, and made sure that it fit onto the character. It can't fully move. She can't fully, like, move her arms all the way down, because it does interfere with it. But it's luckily in a good place where it's like, okay, yeah, it's not big of a deal. too big of a deal, so I'm okay with that. And then with the legs, I think these were just regular, like, red minifigure legs at the start, and then I painted, like, added on the white, and then the silver for the boots, which turned out pretty good, and on the back, we can see, like this bit of sort of, like, the back cape, or I guess the waist cape piece for her outfits, that I made sure to blend in as best as I could, but thankfully, it actually turned out really nice, I did a little bit of paintwork on with the hands, just real quick on that, and then with the sword, I used a paladin sword as the base, and then I sculpted in, like, the overall design of the handle for her sword, that I think it's based more on the anime than it was in the game. And again, because when I saw the game design, it's a bit more complicated than I thought of, like, yeah, I don't know if I'd be able to, like, translate it onto Lego. So I went with the anime design itself, which turned out really great. I really like it, especially with the pieces, how they stay in place. And I made sure to keep it all in a form for where the figure can still hold the sword and nothing like compromises any of the position. So it turned out really good. I think the only thing that I want to fix would be maybe a different hairpiece, but it honestly is still fine in the end. Like, I'm still happy with how it turned out at the end of the day, and it was a lot of fun too. Next up on our list is Jinu's good buddy, Jinho Yu. Now, this one, I really had to make a lot of cuts on the overall detailing design for this character. So, the overall design of him in the game is extremely detailed, especially on with the arms and with the armor design, like, just with the basic forms. So much so that, like, I knew I couldn't be able to translate everything onto minifigure format, especially hand-painted. So I unfortunately had to, like, make a lot of cuts and just do as best I could to, like, still like provide enough detailing to make it work, but not enough to where everything is, like, so overly complicated. So it turned out all right, but it was definitely something that I really had to figure out, like, how to deal with it. But it still turned out fine. It still has the overall representation for it. So when starting off top to bottom, the headpiece, I used just a casual, like, smirk kind of headpiece that I think was used for one of the Han Solo minifigs. Probably could have swapped that out to something more like Jinho in the game, but it still works out good. The hairpiece, I honestly couldn't find one that suits well with, like, Jinho's, like, overall hairstyle, but I did see Benson Bone had made a Mr. Fantastic hairpiece for Marvel Rivals, and I felt that, like, it was close enough to the overall design, so I bought one of these, painted it in light brown, and it still works pretty good. The chest armor is based off of a, like, classic knight minifigure that I sculpted on this additional piece over on the right shoulder. You can see that it wraps all the way around to the back of the figure, which worked out pretty good. I also went back in and added in, like, these spikes to, like, complete the overall look. And adding on more with, like, clay. His shield is the same thing too. Like, it was a standard knight shield, but I added in some clay and made sure to, like, merge it in, as well as, like, sand it to kind of make it look at all one piece. Like, it looks great on the back. On the front, you can kind of see some of the stuff where, like, you could see where the clay was, but it's cleared up enough to where it's like, okay, yeah, this is a good singular piece. And adding on more with sculpting, I added in like these loose fabric pieces that he has on in the game, as well as this one singular piece. I don't know if it's just for, like, detail or maybe it's supposed to be like an armor piece. And same thing on with the back, just added in like these loose fabric pieces and pieces to represent. Did some painting like on the hands to match up with sort of like, I guess, like Infinity Gauntlet S-styled kind of armor pieces he has. The legs have a bit more detailing to them. Like, I added in some paper and electric tape for, like, the waist cape piece that you could see goes all the way around and onto the back, which turned out really great. And same thing with this belt. And this belt starts from the front and goes to the back with a bit of, like, sculpting clay to, like, keep it in place. The boots, I especially had to unfortunately, like, shrink them down to as best I could, but you could see, like, it still represents with, like, the iron boots on the sides, a little bit of detailing work here and there. So it turned out good. And the sword itself is just a regular knight sword, but I painted up the handle to match up more with Jinho's outfit. So overall, like, it's still a pretty good figure. There's some stuff that I would have changed up, like I wish I could have added in more detailing work and maybe switch up with the headpiece, but the headpiece doesn't bother me too much, and with the detailing work, again, there's only so much that I could really put in without over-compromising everything. But it still turned out alright. And finally, here we have the former Knight Commander Blood Red Eagris. Ingress. Now, this figure was primarily the biggest reason why this showcase took a while to do. So, for my first solo leveling showcase, I knew I wanted to do Igris, as he's so far like my favorite shadow of the series. It's between him and Beru, and I definitely wanted to do Igris as sort of like my first one. And I saw that Limitless-Minifigures was like selling solo leveling parts, and one of them was this awesome kit of Igris in his design and solo leveling Arise. So I purchased one of these along with the same time that I got his daggers. Unfortunately, though, it had to go through like international shipping, and it took a while for it to process through. But finally, after a couple of months of waiting, the kit finally came in, and I immediately got to work on customizing it for this figure, which it turned out really, really awesome. I'm so happy with how it turned out. Now, with the overall design of it, the kit was originally designed to fit on a standard minifigure, but like how we did with God of War and Kaiju number 8, I really wanted to emphasize how tall Igris is. So I used a knockoff tall fig as a base instead that I painted in this metallic blue, as sort of the start for it, and then just added into the kit while sculpting on the rest of the armor pieces. So I sculpted on the upper arms and like the lower legs to like match it all in, which turned out good. I did have to modify like with the wrist armor pieces, especially with the arms and the elbows. That I thankfully didn't damage them too badly, so I was able to still use them. But I went with that on the arms and on the sides. On the waist, I lightly sanded it a bit to make it for where the legs, to where the arms could have a bit of articulation with them. It's not a whole lot, but it moves in just enough. The sword, I painted in pretty well. It came in with this blade, which really looks awesome. So, thankfully, like when it fixed onto the hand, the paint didn't chip off. So it was definitely a win. It was like, yes, this works great. The helmet is really awesome too. I love the overall design for it. And the ponytail was on separately from it, and I did have to modify it a little bit to where it would like glue into place, and it turned out really great. The cape, I was originally going to cut off the cape completely and add in a fabric instead, but I decided to like keep the cape, but just extend it on with some clay and add it in with the bottom parts to make it look more tethered, just like how he is like in the source material, which turned out good. I then did some additional detailing with like some of the lines of the armor to sort of represent the blue energy coursing through the shadow, and same thing on the front and on with the shoulders worked pretty great. And then with the legs, the mostly was just in base, just in like a base paint, but added in like and then some croquet clay to match it with sort of like the armored leggings you could see here, and even did some detailing work to sort of show of like the various pieces of armor that sort of like interconnect with the legs, which turned out really great. I'm really happy with it. There's some slight articulation on with the legs, but not a whole lot. I'd say one of the only downsides with this figure is that he does need a stand to like stay in place, because otherwise, if I have him without the sword, he'll just topples over completely. And same thing if I have him without the helmet, which the helmet is removable, but underneath you can see I just painted in a blank like blue head instead to sort of represent that he's overall just a spirit and a shadow warrior. So wasn't really any detailing for that, and it overall turned out really awesome. Like it was definitely a wait for this guy, but at the end it was so worth it. I'm really happy with how this turned out. I did consider of maybe like repainting it purple instead, but I decided to like make one Igris first. I definitely plan to make his general rank sometime later in the future, but for now, I'm really happy with how this Igris turned out now, and it's probably my favorite of the solo leveling characters so far, mostly with how like the detail work that went into this and the overall design of the armor kit itself. Like, again, Limitless did a phenomenal job on the overall look with it. It looks really fantastic, and was just a lot of fun to build. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of LEGO Arts. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This project was a lot of fun to do. Like, I had a lot of fun of, like, making each of these characters. There were some stuff that I want to change here and there, but in general, that's kind of with a lot of my projects. But at the end of results, I just really do love how these figures turned out, especially with, like, Igris and Hay and Shaw. It was so much fun to build, and I'm already planning on some more solo leveling minifigures. At the very least, I want to do more of Jinu's shadows, shadows. Like, I plan to remake Egress. I've already finished up at least 3 shadows with Iron, Tank, and Tusk. Though Iron is almost finished. I still need to make his weapon. I definitely want to build Beru. I'm still figuring out, like, how to make him, and maybe Kaizel, like, his dragon. But I still am not entirely sure how I want to do that. I have an idea, but I'm not sure, like, if I'm going to be able to fully do it. So we'll see how that one goes. I don't know if I'll do, like, some other solo leveling characters, like maybe some of the hunters. But if that's something you guys want to see, let me know in the comments below. For now, though, I'm about to work on a couple of other projects here and there. If you guys want to check out some of the other stuff that I built, such as, like, God of War, Detroit Become Human, Kingdom Hearts, you can find all of those in my LEGO Arts playlist, where I've done a whole bunch of other projects. If you guys are interested in purchasing your own solo leveling parts, I'll include links to Limitless-Minifigures, Benson Bone, and all the other guys I've mentioned in the description below. Go check them out, because they've done phenomenal work, and are really, really cool pieces to do. And overall, if you guys are interested in making some of your own minifigures, I'll include links to Limitless Minifigures, Benson Bone, and all the other people that I've mentioned in the description below. Go check them out and show them some love. And for now, overall, that's going to be it. So, if you guys want to see more videos like this in the future, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell for notifications. It really helps us work at Let's Plays, LEGO projects, and we're here to have some fun. So overall, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, hit that like button, comment below what you think, share it to your friends, subscribe to YouTube, follow me on Twitch. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you all next time in the next video. Goodbye!